The 3-episode rule is something that all old school anime fans know about. It's when you give an anime 3 episodes to build up its hype, its story, before you decide to fully invest. This gives the series a fair shot to hook you in without wasting too much of your time on something that you're not really going to enjoy. And today, on recommendation from a friend, I will be covering Kakegurui. This is Kanji the Gambler crossed with Food Wars. One that I quite liked and one that I grew to despise. Needless to say, it's a gambling anime with soft core, all wrapped into one package. But holy, does it have a fire opening. The first episode of Kakegurui introduces the bizarre, high-stake world, Kakegurui Private Academy, an elite school where gambling determines the social hierarchy and power dynamic. Instead of a traditional academics, students are encouraged to play various gambling games. Those who win big accumulate influence, while the losers fall into debt, becoming house pets, essentially becoming slaves to the winner. This episode sets up the school's social structure and introduces the series protagonist, Yumiko Yabami. Episode 1. The episode opens with Ryota Suzy, a timid student who has lost their own gambling match against Mary Satomi, a powerful and manipulative girl who forces him into debt, making him her house pet. Ryota is treated poorly and his status is visibly marked by a tag that reads dog. Men get dog, women get cat. His life changes when our protagonist, Yumiko, transfers into the academy. She appears polite and cheerful, showing no signs of being a threat, but when Mary challenges her to a gambling match, things take a predictably wild turn. They play a game of rock, paper, scissors, with a twist. Each student in the class secretly draws one symbol, which then goes into a box that the two players choose from. Mary appears to have the advantage, and she's consistently taunting Yumiko throughout the game. And at first, Yumiko plays cautiously, seeming to be a bit of a dutz. But when she figures out that Mary is using underhanded tactics by manipulating her classmates to control the outcome of the match, Yumiko's personality shifts dramatically. She becomes eccentric at the thrill of the high-stakes gambling match, and reveals her true colors. She's a compulsive gambler who lives on the thrill of risk. She might like gambling a little too much. That part I don't love. It takes away from the show for me. But hey, she wins decisively against Mary by pure luck and understanding that she was cheating the entire time. Mary, who is humiliated and is now in an inconceivable amount of debt. Ryota, also for being friendly to Yumiko, gets some pity change to pay off his own debt. Moving forward, Yumiko will act as an exposition machine for all things gambling, while Ryota will serve as the exposition machine for things related to the school's hierarchy. And this is a pretty good setup. The approach helps make excessive levels of exposition a bit easier to digest. If this first episode is anything to go off, the show is likely going to be very heavy on exposition with a loose narrative, if any. If this episode's anything to go off, the rest of the show is essentially going to be a JoJo stand battle. Episode 2. Yumiko's victory over Mary makes her the topic of interest among the students and the powerful student council. Rumors around her spread, catching the attention of Itsuki, another student who's a council member who is also a first-year student, known for her wealth and influence. Itsuki invites Yumiko to a high-stake gambling match, intrigued by her newfound confidence and reputation. Now, essentially, this is just going to be another gambling match of a game that is going to be explained throughout the episode. Itsuki's whole family owns a major corporation that manufactures playing cards. She invites Yumiko to play Double Concentration, a memory-based game with a significant twist. Each player must match pairs of cards that are shuffled from the deck. But unlike traditional concentration games, each turn costs a reward increase in the stakes. If a player mismatches cards, then they must pay a large sum for each failed pair. If they succeed, they win big. To lure Yumiko in, Itsuki flaunts her wealth, showing off her custom cards and significant money involved within the game and the deck itself. She also makes a bold wager, offering Yumiko a chance to win 20 million yen. It's not $20 million. Or euro, or pound. 20 million yen's a pretty honky bit of change, but only if she succeeds. But warning that she will owe this exact same amount if she loses. As the game begins, Yumiko notices that the cards are made with unique and intricate designs and high-end materials, courtesy of Itsuki's family business. Yumiko suspects the game is being rigged, especially that Itsuki remembers the deck effortlessly and wins multiple rounds without hesitation. This reveals that Itsuki is cheating by using cards with tiny, nearly invisible marks to give herself an advantage. When Yumiko realizes that she is being cheated, her excitement only increases. More odds to beat. Instead of backing down, she becomes even more exhilarated by the challenge. She bets more aggressively, raising the stakes to force Itsuki's hand. As the game reaches its peak, Yumiko boldly calls out Itsuki for cheating in front of everyone, mocking her as if she is baby Grong. Itsuki is thrown off and begins to panic. No longer being a cocky, rich bitch, Itsuki eventually loses control of the game and Yumiko wins, taking a massive payout. After the game, Itsuki is furious, but also somewhat captivated by Yumiko's fearless attitude. Yumiko's passion for gambling becomes clear. She is not driven by greed, money, but rather the thrill of playing against high-stake opponents and beating the odds, even if that means cheating. Her victory further disrupts the social order and hierarchy in the academy, painting her as a dangerous challenger to the student council's authority. We found our overarching antagonists, as we do have a little bit of a cutscene of them plotting her demise. Ryota, who has been watching Yumiko's matches closely, becomes increasingly concerned about her gambling obsession, but grows more attached to her. Despite her high-risk behavior, he begins to see Yumiko as a friend and realizing she's more complex. In the episode's conclusion, essentially the student council realize that she's a bit of a threat and that she will take anything that comes her way as long as it is a high-stake match that can thrill her. Ugh. We know that because she's already setting her sight high. We move on to the third episode of Kakegurui, titled Slit-Eyed Woman. I know it's an anime, but if that was a Western title, whoa. Yumiko continues her journey through the treacherous gambling hierarchy of the private academy. Following her victories, Yumiko's name has reached the ears of the most influential students, especially those on the student council. This episode further explores the academy's house pet system and introduces a sadistic new character who adds even more danger to Yumiko's newfound world. The episode opens with an explanation of the academy's system for dealing with students who fail to pay off their gambling debts. Those who are unable to settle their losses are marked as house pets. Fido, if you're a male, like a dog, Fido, or Mittens for females, as in like a cat, treated as lesser members of society, enduring ridicule and harsh treatment from other students. Additionally, if house pets cannot pay off their debts by graduation, they're given life plan by the student council, which may dictate their future even outside of the school, including whom they'll marry and what career they'll pursue. Yumiko is warned if she continues to gamble with this consistent risk and she loses, she could end up as a house pet. However, this warning does not seem to bother her at all. She seems fixated on the thrill of gambling rather than its consequences. Yumiko's opponent from the first episode is now struggling under the weight of her debts. Having lost her social standing and becoming a Mittens, she faces mockery and disdain from her former friends and classmates, highlighting the brutal reality of this social system. Despite her previous hostility, build a connection between her and Yumiko as they share a common enemy in the student council. Yumiko's carefree attitude and kindness towards Mary surprises her, slowly shifting Mary's view of Yumiko, possibly, but slowly shifting Mary's view of Yumiko from contempt to a grudging respect, and maybe the two will form a bond as the show goes on. Yumiko doesn't see Mary as a mere defeated opponent, but maybe as a potential ally against the oppressive system. Or maybe just someone else who is capable of giving her that thrill. Essentially, the third episode boils down to the same as the first two. It's a game with complex rules that don't seem to fully match up with what's happening on the opposing team, because the opposing team is somehow cheating. Although I can really appreciate this approach, 3 times in a row and every single character cheating is a little bit much for me. Every single interaction so far has essentially come down to a JoJo interaction, which is that character design is pretty complex, you're the villain, tell me your ability, that's your ability, this is mine, but actually I tricked you. and then the other character wins. And this one is no different, except for the fact that there might be a bit of character development between Mary and Yumiko. In conclusion, the 3 episodes of Kakegurui set a strong foundation for the series, showcasing that the private school's unique blend of suspenseful gambling and complex social hierarchies, which are actually pretty cool. The animation style is intense with close-up and very expressive character designs. Some of these I adore. When people look creepy, I like that because it adds eeriness to the scene. When people are orgasming on screen, I dislike that because that is gooner bait. But overall, the animation captures the thrill and high stakes games and the shifting emotions of each player as they lock in for battles of wits and risk. As I said, the use of exaggerated facial expressions and sharp, detailed shots adding tension and intensity to the gambling scenes, making each round feel like a life or death experience. Not to the same point as the other gambling anime that's better, in my opinion. The art style is not for everyone though. From the thematic standpoint, Kakegurui explores the dangerous allure of gambling, showing characters who seek freedom, power, and validation through the games of chance that are played. I think thematically, it emphasizes how power dynamics and manipulation defines this academy. They're not really playing gambling matches, they're playing who can cheat who the best. With the student council enforcing a system that thrives on control, humiliation, and cheating, Yumiko's approach of pure wits disrupts the structure, highlighting a love for said risk over anything else, but with the constant reminder of the other characters who are enslaved by fear and loss, the house pets. In terms of pacing, each episode to a degree builds upon the last, but that build is not going to be everlasting. They're building the same tropes upon each episode, and unless something changes on the 4th episode, that seems to just be where the series is going. But it increases the stakes within these 3 episodes to a good degree, and also its tension. As Yumiko challenges stronger opponents, the structure in theory could work for immersing viewers into the Academy's world. As each opponent does add an extra layer of treachery Yumiko must confront, however, this intensity is occasionally undermined by the show's unwavering fan service. Shots that linger on certain characters or accentuate their features for sexual appeal feels unnecessary, distracting, and takes away from the overall suspense and psychological depth of the actual gambling matches. By shifting the focus from the thrill and risk aspect to explicit and unrelated visuals, for viewers drawn to what they came for, psychological tension and strategic depth, this element can come across as gratuitous, distracting from an otherwise engaging narrative. I'm just not about fan service. Sorry, it just takes me out of stuff. I just hate fan service in animes because you're sexualizing children. It's not chill. Sorry. But does it pass a 3-episode rule? For me, honestly, no. I wouldn't watch this, and I won't continue to watch this. I've watched this beautiful boy, and essentially everything that's in this is in Kakegurui. Kakegurui is just packaged in a different way, and if you enjoy Food Wars and you enjoy the fan service from that, then this is all the more bon appetit for you. It's just not my cup of tea. Not that the fan service is so bad that I wouldn't be able to watch it. I absolutely could. It's not that bad. It only comes up every now and again, but the fact that the main character is the one exuding this sexualization of gambling just made it really uncomfortable for me to watch. But to each their own. But for me, it didn't pass the 3-episode rule. But that intro though.